In 2012, I was clinically dead for 23 minutes. I woke up 36 hours later in Ipswich Hospital. I was paralysed from my neck down. They told me I'll never walk again. Something happened that nothing in this world ever prepared me for. Nothing in this world ever prepared me for. An event that was so mind-blowing, I never heard of nothing like it in my life. I knew a lot about death, people dying, coming back, clinically dead. I've heard plenty of stories. And I never read the Bible, I never went to church, but I know the stories. You hear stories all the time. But nothing in the world prepared me for what happened when I died. And when I woke up 36 hours later in Ipswich Hospital and they said I'll never walk again, I didn't want to believe that. Something inside drove me really hard that I had something to do. It's not over. It's not over. I've got to get out of here. And I said to the doctor, what's wrong? What's happened? He told me I had a lack of oxygen to the brain with a major stroke. And that I already woke up twice. I was in an induced coma. And they woke me up twice and done tests on me. And they said, after you're paralysed from your neck down for about 24 hours to 36 hours, you'll never walk again. You'll be on rehabilitation. And they said I had a major stroke. And there was no blood clots or anything like that. I had a major heart attack in 2008 with 3 stents fitted. I was supposed to take 5 medications for the rest of my life and stop smoking, and I didn't. So they said, you know, I had clogged arteries and 3 stents fitted. And they said my arteries caused the lack of oxygen to my brain with a major stroke. Something just told me to get out of there. Get up and get out. And I said to the doctor, I said, all right, so there's no blood clots or anything like that? He said, no, it's a lack of oxygen and it's probably caused by stress. Caused by stress. This is what the doctor said. It's caused by stress. And I thought to myself, you know, like something happened in that moment. And I thought, you know, this is hospital where people come in that has death experience or drug overdoses, near-death experience or clinically dead. These doctors would have to know things. So I told them about what happened, about what really happened, because I was pushed out of my vessel and I watched my own vessel walk away. I watched my own human vessel and human experience walk up the road. I had 3 people there at the time, and all of a sudden something happened and I got up and I couldn't respond. I walked out of the house, walked across the road, got pushed out of my body, and I watched my own body walk away. And it scared the living shit out of me. Nothing in the world ever prepared me for anything like this. I never heard such a story in my life. And man, it was the most terrifying moment of my life I ever went through in my life. I mean, it was like I was possessed. It was like I was totally possessed. And I heard a voice from another dimension. It was like coming through a tunnel. And man, all I heard was this voice saying, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. But it was really heavy authority. A voice so powerful, I have never heard nothing like it in my life. Never heard nothing like it in my life. And it sent chills down my spine as if I was paralyzed, in shock, and then got up and I had no control of my body at all, my vessel. And I was in so deep a shock I couldn't respond to my friends. They were reaching out saying, "Are you all right, Kim? Are you all right?" I'm trying to respond. I can't respond. I cannot respond to them. And I walk through the house backwards and forwards, then walk out the house, across the road and up the road. And I get pushed out of my own vessel and I'm watching my own vessel walk away. I go right through the back of my mind and I'm watching myself from behind, walking away. And I'm thinking, what's going on here, man? What is going on here? The most astonishing part about this story is 2 months later, I ran into another friend of mine that had exactly the same event. Also, right, this is a girlfriend who OD'd on a drug overdose and was also clinically dead. But she had exactly the same event, exactly the same experience. And when she told me that, like on one hand, it gave me a bit of confidence I wasn't alone, but man, it also scared me at the same time. It scared the living shit out of me to hear another story like this. Okay? It has a good feeling and a bad feeling at the same time. And right now, what happens to me in hospital is that I refuse to believe this, that I'm paralyzed and I'm going to get up. And I said to the doctor, call my son. He just left half an hour ago on his way home. And I said, call him and tell him to come around and turn around and pick me up. The doctor was looking at me like I was crazy, which is understandable. And the fact is that I'm freaking out. Okay? I told the doctor about what happened. And the doctor and the nurses looked at me like I was crazy. The minute I told them what happened, thinking they've heard stories like this before, I thought they might have some answers for me because I had no idea what was going on. But I was hoping that these doctors and nurses might be able to fill me in about stories like this from other people. But they looked at me like I was crazy. And when I told them the story, the doctor said to the nurse, put him back under induced coma. I said, hey, wait a minute, I'm getting up. I'm going to get up. And I started moving my left-hand shoulder. You know when you sleep in your arm and it's dead and you can't feel nothing? That's what it's like from my neck down. Nothing. I couldn't feel nothing. Like I've been sleeping on my arm and felt nothing. My whole body, nothing. I started to force my left-hand shoulder with movement. And I kept trying harder and harder, and it was a battle. It was a really difficult battle to move my arm. And as I was moving my arm and got more movement, they were standing there looking at me, just looking at me, wondering what's going on. And I'd start moving my right-hand shoulder. After getting my left arm working, I got my left arm working. It took me 45 minutes till my son walked in. I said to the doctor, ring my son, I'm getting up. And as I was starting to get up with my arms, he rang my son. When my son walked in, I'd moved every limb in my body except for my right-hand leg. My right-hand leg was still very bad. I put my arm around my son's shoulder and walked out the hospital. For the next 3.5 years, I went through a transformation I can't even begin to explain in a way you'd understand. You'd have to go through this yourself to even understand. It's so far beyond the mind can't really explain this, what I went through. The first 18 months, I was very disorientated. I was going from my childhood to my adulthood, in and out of different timelines in my life. The first 5 days, I couldn't remember yesterday the next day, like yesterday didn't exist. So the first 5 days, okay, one day I don't remember yesterday. People come and see me and talk to me, and when they came the next day, I'd say to them, why didn't you come yesterday? They said, we were here yesterday. No, you weren't. You weren't here yesterday. Why didn't you come yesterday? We were here yesterday. And I didn't believe them. So each day went past was like starting a new day and was wiped out. And this started to sort of get better and better and better, okay? And I can't explain it any other way. People thought I was on drugs. They thought I was crazy. They had never seen nothing like this before in this kind of behaviour. And I realised that what I was going through has a massive effect on my family and friends, and they didn't really know who I was, and they thought I was on drugs because I acted really peculiar, very strange, right? Okay, imagine like I'm behaving in this vessel like I'm 7 to 14 years old, okay, for a week. Then a week later, I might behave like I'm 21 to 27, going through cycles of life. I start to get visions in broad daylight, right? Things came to me out of the blue. I start to see things I couldn't understand. I lost so much memory of things in my life, completely lost them over 18 months, never came back. Yet memories I forgot about my whole life came back. About 18 months later, after I went through this transformation, 18 months later, I went through a lot of strange events. My family and friends couldn't recognize me anymore, and they were pushing me away, as far away as possible, right? They thought I was crazy or on drugs, okay? But I wasn't. I changed a lot. I became someone else. I just wasn't the same person anymore. I was something completely different. And I didn't realize myself at the same time, right? And I didn't know what was going on. But all of a sudden, if you can imagine thinking forward, you know, like you make a decision and you know the domino effect, what the next 5 steps will be if you do it. But imagine you can see 64 steps ahead. Like, imagine you can see that far ahead with every decision you're making. You realize all the bad decisions you used to make that you never knew what the repercussions were because you were limited. And now it's like it became open. My mind opened up with different perceptions, different ways of thinking outside the mind, beyond the mind, Bryan. And things come to me out of the blue and I can't make sense of it. I don't know what's going on. I'm full of anxiety and stress because I'm going through something I don't understand. At the same time, I'm being rejected by my family. I get unlawfully deported at the same time. I'm going through a lot of hell, right? I've been in jail for 10 years of my life, okay? I come from the underground world as an outlaw, and I know my bad, but also know my good. And when you look back at your life and you're told to do that, and don't just look at your bad, but look at your good, there are things about your life you didn't even know, that I certainly did not know myself, that I rejected. I lived in my mind as if I was evil and bad and rejected and in guilt, moral and shame. And I was dwelling in guilt, moral and shame from being rejected, run down, told I'm mental. And man, I don't know how to make any sense of anything else but telling you exactly how I feel. I'm rejected to the shit house. I'm sitting in Perth detention centre being deported to Denmark for the rest of my life, never see my kids and grandkids again. I'm going through hell. I'm feeling so bad about my life, I couldn't feel worse. I went through a lot of things in my life for a lot of reasons. Okay, I've made millions of videos about this. The Testimony of a Drug World Reborn is a powerful book, a powerful testimony. It's registered as a prophecy, the prophecy of a drug world reborn, because it prophesies and predict the future with deja vu and prevent what's going to happen. And it's fully recorded by the biggest think tank in the world. I've always been able to do these things, and people didn't know, but the authorities do. In the Star Chamber inquiry, I was the most wanted in Australian history, with the most powerful networks in the underground world, in the Star Chamber Inquiry. And my family and friends didn't know because I had a double life. I had a double life. In the Star Chamber Inquiry, most of the people that I knew, since I grew up in the underground world, on the streets, wherever, they didn't even know who I was. And to this day, they don't. Nor does my family. They have no idea who I am. They think they do. They have no idea who I am. I lived a double life, and most people, even most of my close friends, have no idea unless they go and look at the Star Chamber Inquiry, right, by the shadow government. The Federal Police and the National Crime Authority went to Parliament House to seek authority to unleash the biggest think tank in the world in the Star Chamber Inquiry. The Gatekeeper Report is a report about me, the most powerful report ever written about me. And I was number one most wanted in Australia with 105 top people on the top plateau of the underground world. I know something people do not know. When they disarm Australia with the Bryan Bible Plan, we have the guns on the front page of the paper on the 18th of January 2001 on the Brisbane Courier Mail, writes on the front page of the paper. A shipping container fully loaded with guns, and big black writing says, these are the guns that disarm Australia. Every serial number checked out. I took over the two top scientists from NASA that was creating Hitler's plan that Harari for the fourth industrial revolution says they're creating today. Hitler's plan. He says we're taking out the natural selection of life and replacing it with intelligent design, and it's an alien intelligence. He says that loud and clear. He says we're going to create our own gods, and we have the divine power of creation and destruction, and Christ is over. He's born in Israel, and Obama calls him the great prophet. We warned about him in the Bible. Hitler's plan, he says. You know what Hitler's plans was? Ethnic coal. And Hitler's plan is Nimrod's plan on the Sumerian tablets. Believe me, when I'm telling you something, you need to know. When I took over the two top scientists from NASA, when they disarmed Australia, you're talking about the top Freemasons in the world here. You're talking about the most powerful entity in the Star Chamber. The shadow governments at the top level of the world. I have the most powerful document on earth, and it's the devil's plan. Are you listening to me? Because I can tell you now, I know, and you don't. No one does. The devil's plan by the Rockefellers, by the UN and NATO, by WF, Hitler's plan. Trust me, when you know this document and you know the truth from the Sumerian tablets and from human history and what today's all about with the 230 plan, you'll know in this document when they took over Australia with the fifth eye, the pyramid and the hub in Pine Gap, everyone in Australia, and hacking the hub, Julian Assange went to jail. We have the documents of the plan. The most powerful plan on earth. And when you know the real plan and who's really constructing this, you realise why UAP Disclosure says in Pentagon last year, we have an outside influence that controls our reality. Mate, you got no fucking idea. You have no idea what that outside influence is. I do. I faced it head on. I worked in the underground world, number one. The most wanted person in Australia and the biggest mastermind in the Gatekeeper Report with godlike power on their documents. So you might want to fucking pay attention to me and wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap, because you can only use 7 to 15% of your brain. I use 100%. I'm the biggest mastermind in the world they've ever dealt with the most powerful peer reports and documents to back it up by the biggest think tank in the world. It's not a fucking joke. It's realistically. 50 metres of documents written about me. The most powerful mastermind they've ever dealt with in the Star Chamber Quarry. And I shut them down for treasoning. My rescue officer commends me, so does 40 other cops. Course of Royal Commissions paying out for 23 years. Stolen vaccination policy. Biggest mental health research ever conducted in global history. And DNA study ever done. My DNA leads society with the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. My DNA. With the book Freedom by Jeremy Givers, held by 16,000 top scholars of the world, right, as a holy grail of life with natural selection. All the top Nobel Prize winners in the biggest merge in human history. But WF wants to take out the natural selection and replace mortality design, and the government's signing in with them. With Geneva, where Satan dwells, with 10 kings at Geneva, where Satan dwells, the 10 officers with Geneva at the top, Garvey at the top. With open up the soul machine with the portals to the personality. In the fifth dimension field, light powered, specific and demonic. And it would sound like Christ's consciousness and a consciousness that's only a mental event, mental process, and illusion of imagination, set up by the Rockefellers into the content singulated by WF. Biggest soul trap in human history. Biggest soul trap in human history. Those who think it's stealing with tune out programs and saying the major documentary. Metal telepathy, ESP, promote you in telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, following space and time with deja vu. Predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. Clockwise. When you're as clockwise in your sixth sense and you see the picture that tells you 1,000 more cannot lie to you. The orbs are light. The light bulb in here. The orbs are light. Did they come to you? They come to me. They work with me. With divine power to command nature. With the most powerful documents in the world to back it up. So I went through a hell of a transformation when I died in 2012. To learn who I was. Who I really am. And my abilities. So when I died in 2012, my son walks in the hospital. I put my arm around his shoulder and I walk around for 3.5 years limping and going through a hell of a process. 18 months later, I have this vortex of information for about 3 weeks coming into me in ways I cannot explain. Like a universal connection I have no idea to explain in any other way. But all of a sudden, I became really sharp. Very sharp. Then I get involved for being set up for murder. 3 times I tried to set up for murder. I go on the run for 4 months in the biggest car chase in human history. Dangerous driving for 4 months in Ipswich Ipswich courtroom, 2014. CCTV, the most CCTV place in the world. Fatal 4-team, Task Force Maxima, helicopters couldn't stop me for 4 months. Not a scratch, not a dent, not one accident. Go look at CCTV. 4 months straight, chased every day for murder, being set up for murder by the cops. Go look at CCTV. The judge couldn't deal with in 2014 in Ipswich Court. Didn't know how to. When they saw the cameras of how I drove, how I could drive a car like it's never seen before in life, the biggest car chase in world history, they didn't even know how to deal with it. 4 months straight. Supernatural power on CCTV for 4 months. This is what happens. This is what's happening here. I go through a hell of a lot of hell. Being set up for 3 separate murders. They try to kill me. And I beat everything. 2010, Chief Judge of Justice in Australia puts my case in every university, the most corrupt case in Australian history. The most corrupt cases in Australian history. My arresting officer commended me on his affidavit. Retires the police force, stands in my second mention, and said I'm being set up for corruption. Loud and clear. 2004 was proven in the Supreme Court examination. I gave 90% of my money away. We brought down the highest debt to American account and bonds and bonds for 30 years. From 1996 to 2000. And I gave 90% of my money away. $72 million. Recorded with evidence. Proven in court law examination I was the only one telling the truth and the government was full of shit and lying. Put my kids and wife on witness protection against their will. Proven by Chief Judge of Justice in 2010, the 2 most corrupt cases in Australian history. In every university. He gets pulled down by Peter Dutton, who was working for the shadow government responsible for this, who was ordered to step down by Chief Justice of Jersey. Then he gets pulled down, and he gets promoted. Tony Abbott, the Prime Minister, stated as a man of UN and government authorities and Defence Force and all the government workers in late 2015, and got wind of all this. You know, the vaccination as electronic antibodies in every patent, and Ardis says we're going to remember the time going under the skin with surveillance with COVID-19 vaccinations. We're going to remember going under the skin with surveillance, and it's patent as electronic antibodies. Graphene oxide is a drug delivery system in all your food preservatives, zinc, iron, magnesium, vitamin C, B12. It's in your food preservatives. It's also in all methamphetamine because iodine crystal comes from methamphetamine ADHD medication. 1/3 is iodine crystal, and that's where graphene oxide comes from. It was used by the Sumerian tablets. It was used by the pharaohs with mind control. We've been under mind control for 100 years. We exposed those documents in 97. Went worldwide in 99. Your parents are crazy because they're possessed by an outside influence and they're not telling you the truth. They listen to the voice of mind. Ultimately, design brings things in that sounds heavenly in their mind, their consciousness. It's only a middleman, a middle process, illusion, imagination. It's only voices inside the mind that are only personalities. They've been making CERN machines, particle machines, right since 1920 and put you under mind control since 1920. Your 24th chromosome's in dormancy in cellular static research. You can't use 85 to 93% of your brain. You have 32 senses, you can only use 5 sense mentality inside your mind, where there's no moral guilt and shame, and use your 6th sense 1 to 5%. You can only repair your body cells 3.5 hours a night. I repair 24 hours a day. Yours goes anti-clockwise during the daytime because you think anti-clockwise with IQ, grammar, and the things that you select yourself unnaturally with evolution mutation and artificial intelligence with atheism. That's why you've been designed from generation to generation. And you don't think that bothers you at all? The way you think, the way you judge, you can't even keep families together anymore. There's no relationship. There's no codependent power neither. There's no aura. Your aura's collapsed between 95 and 100% in every single Western world, and all your senses are gone. You're going to 6 magic things stripped in the 6th sense for the 6th time because you've got no spirituality, only mentality, trapped in a personality with amnesia because you haven't got a genetic memory. You can't use your genetic process with your ancestral tools. I can, but you can't. I woke up from amnesia and reincarnation trap. That's why I died in 2012 and I never came back. Just never came again. I went for a transformation, right? And it was scary, full of stress and anxiety, I can guarantee you that. Wasn't easy. I never read the Bible and never went to church, right? I was chosen like this for a reason. On the 26th of February, 2016, I'm in Perth detention and being deported unlawfully by Peter Dutton. I couldn't be deported. It was discovered in 2009. I've an open visa. He cancelled BF change visa and threatened 3 lots of lawyers, so I couldn't get to court because I caused this problem for him. He is subject, right, under a conflict of interest because his cases were against me and he's ordered to step down on my cases. He's not allowed to make a decision on me, not under the Conflict of Interest Act, not at all. I have an affidavit from a Jeff Jardine in Orange who wrote me an affidavit subject to perjury that he was down there trying to get my wife to set me up for murder, right, when her brother, Darren Ashley in Alice Springs, stabbed his wife 27 times. Go read the articles, right? Go read the articles. Go read the case. He tried to set me up for that murder. I have an affidavit from Jeff Jardine in Orange I've never met in my life, subject to perjury, that he tried to set me up for the murder. So when I got unlawfully deported, I sent those documents in my case. Then he becomes the Minister of Immigration and he unlawfully deports me. And he makes a decision under the conflict of interest that's illegal. He's got the affidavit. He never went and visited Jardine or charged him for any accounts of what? Perjury, because an affidavit is subject to perjury. Jeff Jardine never got a visit. I spoke to him for the next couple of years on the phone. Never got a visit, but Peter Dutton has the very statement where he is a charge of federal police set me up for murder. He was ordered to step down by Chief Judge of Jersey. Then he pulls Tony Abbott down when Tony Abbott does a managerial process and discovers 57% deposit to meth in the whole government field. And every cop, 57% were positive to meth, and 79% of people admitted to using it. It went worldwide because the whole world is controlled by the same barcode system with the same mind control weapon with ADHD medication and meth all over the world. Drug delivery systems worldwide. America used 1.5 tons of meth every day, and fentanyl going out of control. And it's a mind control weapon. We discovered that back in 1994 when we made the most powerful truth serum in the world. You see in the movie Limitless. We developed the drug from manna when they were developing all the other drugs with mind control. All part of a plan. And the whole world was on meth. Hitler had everybody in the happy pill. Up to 85% of people was on a happy pill. On amphetamine, under mind control. When they didn't should have been dangerous in 1980, 2 top scientists moved into Almo Brisbane, Australia with 5 international networks because they didn't deem amphetamine and meth to be illegal. Only pseudoephedrine, not amphetamine. So they moved into Almo Brisbane, Australia and started the Hive on Google and run the Hive until 2012. A black web where Fester was sitting from NASA and a whole team of what? Teaching meth. Teaching how to cook meth. And made 11 volume books. All on Google, on the Hive, on the black web opened up. We all went in there, man. We were all using it in the underground world. Right? We all connected to these scientists. And I took over the whole operation and became #1 most wanted. And when I did, I went right into the Sumerian tablets. I went right into the most powerful document on earth, the devil's plan. Because I had the fucking document and I know it. And when you know this document, you know everything in this world. It unfolds right in front of your face. The whole lot. No one can deceive you ever again because you know exactly what's going on. And you know the whole world is so fucking confused about this and so trapped in themselves, in their mind and so limited, they don't know what they're fucking doing worldwide. They're under mind control. I can use 100% of my brain with my supernatural power. No one else fucking can. And I sit down for 6.5 hours with 2 top people in the biggest think tank in the world, 2 top biologists and 2 top scientists in 2016 in Perth Hospital in a secret meeting for 6.5 fucking hours. And then I'm told I'm the only one of a kind in the biggest study we've done for 34 years in DNA. And it gets deep, a lot deeper than you're willing to take on board and that you can even deal with. Trust me, you have fucking no idea. I can sit here and talk all day long, but you're so limited, you have no idea. There's only one of me on earth. And I can guarantee you I left my mark on earth like no other motherfucker you've ever met in your life. The most powerful, godlike father with godlike power you've ever seen in your life. Go and look at the documents to satisfy your little reptilian brain because you have zero faith and you cannot feel the truth. I can. With direction microphones, I can feel them standing in the courtroom, putting pen to paper with my name on it. With deja vu and remote viewing, I could feel it when they got me in their mind with the universal language. That's why I was 7 times faster than they could think. That's why I was #1 in the underground world, at the top level. Absolute Alpha Omega #1. The most wanted in the Star Chamber by the biggest think tank in the world. The gatekeeper put, I'm #1 on every document. Designed laboratory glass no one thought of that took a 40-hour process down to 3.5. Stamped an Indian number in such a way the X machine could not detect it. Mastermind report 17 current affairs shows in 1994. As a mastermind loopholes the laws and manipulation, and I could unravel everything. Unravel every single thing. And that's why I became the most wanted. Yet we made the most powerful truth serum that brought people back in the primal state that comes from a planet called Mayam. Christ and Moses used it. Bread manna. We developed the drug that brought people back in the primal state and took them out of mind control so they can use 100% of their brain, like in the movie Limitless. Like in the movie Limitless. And we learn how to use the sacred secretion to conduct with our natural biology, our natural selection in life, our natural order. We know how to recreate the sacred secretion with the third eye, to see the picture that tells you 1,000 words, how to cross over, to be in the Christ image, to live in Christ scan and more in your own DNA with genetic memory. Being oppressed and suppressed by the rest of the world dramatically. Dramatically. I know the truth. No one else knows. You have no idea what kind of mind control you're under today and how delusional you are. And you can't face it. That's why you've got to go through a 40-day fast and stop unnatural selection and go through natural selection with the book Freedom by Jimmy Givers, held by 16,000 top scholars in the world, the Holy Grail of Life. The biggest merge in human history with natural selection, and we're not breathing the holy breath of life to recreate the sacred secretion. To recreate the sacred secretion of Neuralink, the tree of life, and reset your biological clock in your central nervous system. Reset your whole system to think outside the mind, not with the mind. Your mind plays tricks and games and you become your own worst enemy, and you become your own pushing your own warden, and you suffer all the time with stress, fear and anxiety, confusion, frustration, illusion and paranoia, and live in a comfort zone. You do not know what you do. You think you do, but you don't. Trust me, in 40 days we cross you over through the biggest transformation you've ever seen in your life. And it's one hell of a process. 3.5 years of transformation. You go through events like I did. That's hardcore. To wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. But believe me, it's the most powerful liberation you've ever felt in your life. The truth will set you free, beyond the mind. I'm the only one in the world. It's not my fault. I got put through this like this. I'm in hospital for that 6.5 hours. I've been limping on my leg for 3.5 years. Okay? And I had a bad leg, man, and a sore back. When I was living in Perth Detention Centre, we were living on a compound. Okay? Every lunchtime and dinner time, I had to walk about 300 metres to go to where we have food, in the mess hall. And I had to stand in a queue for ages, and I couldn't go down there, man. So I just made toast or cereals that we had up in the compound because I couldn't walk, man. I had a real fucking bad problem. During that 3.5 years, okay, there's a period where my right hand leg went black. The doctor said it might have to come off. My own son, Craig, had to come and see me, right, nearly every day for 6 weeks and deliver things to me because I couldn't walk at all. My leg went black. When I was lying there and the doctor said it might have to come off because it went black, I started to read a few things, right, on the phone, right? And I got these electrical things that you get from the chemist that sends electric shock in your legs that can stimulate your arteries. So I bought 6 of these machines, right? And I was lying there at home. I got Craig to take me to the shop, right? He had to run me around. And I got 6 of these machines and went home and laid in bed, and I put these things all over my leg. Everywhere was black to stimulate it. And I just lay there thinking, you know what, it'll come back. And it did. It did come back, right? But the doctor said he might have to take my leg off if it keeps going like this. They couldn't work out what it was. And I couldn't walk for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And my son Craig, he can confirm that, he came there all the time. I could not walk and my leg was pure black. It came back in that 3.5 year process. But I had a hard time with my leg and limping non-stop, right? And I couldn't walk down half the time to get food because it was too far, and standing in a queue was killing me. It was literally killing me. So 3.5 years later, I get called in for this meeting. I'm sitting down for 6 hours. They tell me, Kim, when you died in 2012 and you're paralyzed from your neck down, when you got up and walked out, the doctors thought it was a misdiagnosis, and so did you, correct? Yeah, that's correct. Kim, you did it yourself, right? You've been clinically dead 3 times. We have so much medical records on you and DNA. You do things no one can do. Kim, you had a major heart attack in 2008. You had 3 stents fitted. You had to take 5 drugs and stop smoking, and you didn't, and then you had the stroke, right? Yeah. And we had your tests, your DNA before and after, Kim, from when you had the heart attack. When we found out that your DNA could self-preserve and could preserve DNA and had a genetic memory with genetic repair kit. That was 2008 when you were in prison, Kim. You had a heart attack, right? Straight after that study was done, you had a heart attack. Now, the funny thing is, Kim, you need to listen. We've done all the studies on you, right? We've got more than 12,000 photos of all your arteries done here the other day. We've got a whole Neuralink test, right? We've done a full examination of you. We're here to tell you a lot of things, but one of the biggest important things is your DNA, Kim. Today, we can confirm that you in fact had a major stroke. And the truth is, your leg's the evidence. Your leg is the evidence, Kim. Because we can't find nothing wrong with your Neuralink. We can't find nothing wrong with your arteries, Kim. They're perfect. They're better today than what they were in 2008. Kim, you've grown brand new arteries around your stents. You've grown brand new arteries around your stents. You don't take the medication to this day, and you still smoke to this day. But your arteries are better than 2008. And you don't take the medication, and you haven't stopped smoking. Kim, you got off that table yourself. You worked against the grain. You kept thinking instinctively, and we've been doing a lot of studies with the biggest think tank in the world, especially with the 212 Anonymous. Kim, we know when you died, we know a lot of people went through exactly the same event as you did. You're not the only one, and you know that yourself. You know a couple of people yourself that had exactly the same event that you went through as well. Their genetic memory and their DNA is changing as well by natural selection. We know that. That's why Jim McGivers calls it the natural selection, because they know. They've been doing the studies with natural selection since 2008. Okay? And what's astonishing about this is he tells me, he says, Kim, think instinctively, like they say in the Matrix, Kim. You're the one that developed the drug, the most powerful enlightenment drug in 2.7 in the world. We know that. It's on every testing center. Have you read the Mastermind reports, Kim? Have you ever seen the Gatekeeper report? You're number one in every study done. Also, the most powerful miracles in hospital, Kim. Your wife died 4 times in 1992. They narcaned her at home, brought her to hospital. They gave her 0% chance of living. She died 3 times in hospital with a miracle, with 7 peer reports and CCTV. She writes the most powerful poem in 2003, the one and only worldwide number 1 for 8 months. Kim, we interviewed her. It's the most powerful miracle on earth that we have. When we watched her die 3 times in Ipswich Hospital on CCTV with 7 peer reports and watched her body lift 8 inches off the bed. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then she writes the most powerful poem, and she expresses that you had the divine power to bring her back to life. That's what she says. She was told to write. And we've been looking at you with divine power, okay, to command nature. We've been looking at your DNA. We've been looking at the Mastermind reports. For 34 years, Kim, we've looked at all the things that you can do that no one else can. And there's plenty of it, Kim. Kim, you can fix your leg yourself. You can fix that leg. You just don't have faith that you can do it yourself. But you can, Kim. Right? You don't have faith in yourself. You don't even know it, Kim. But you can fix that leg yourself. I'm sitting there, been limping for 3.5 years, and my leg's been giving me hell. In that moment, I'm blown away, so far away, I can't even express my feelings. I'm lost when I'm told something like this. I'm so lost, I don't even know how to respond to it. Is this for real? Is this really for real? It can't be right. Surely it can't be right. So they tell me to stand up and go back to the moment that I got off the table when I died, when I was paralysed my neck down, and said, go back to that moment, Kim. Fix your leg, finish it off. You can do it yourself. You've done it before. You got it to here. You just didn't know. So I stand up in front of 6 people and 2 guards that brought me from Perth Detention Centre. 2 normal security guards, right, from the prison system or from the detention centre. Border security. I stand up in that room and they were all there for 6 hours. And we went through a lot of stuff, man. And it gets a lot deeper than this. They know a lot more than you think about the Sumerian tablets, about the devil's plan that I know. They said it's top secret and they know what's happening around the world. They know. And they know they have to keep me quiet. That's what they said. They said, we'll be watching you, Kim. We're saving you. We're sending you to Denmark, believe it or not. But we'll be watching you 24 hours a day. NASA will be watching NSA. We will be watching, Kim, both good and evil. But believe me, you're being protected, Kim. Anyone else like you ends up being dead, but you are being protected, Kim. You are being protected by someone. So I'm blown away and I find this very hard to stomach. But I stand up and I go back to that moment I died and I wake up and I was paralysed. I go right back to that moment and I go right back to fixing my leg and I fix it in a heartbeat. The same way. I fix it straight away, right in front of their face. And it becomes a confirmation, especially for myself, a confirmation I can do this myself. For the first time, I deliberately do something knowingly or having faith that I can. Every other time it was fight-flight mode, out of fear, out of stress, and working against the grain. But this time, I made the decision that I can do it, giving the faith that I can by going back to that and using the same fight-flight mode, right, and thinking instinctively outside the mind, and I fixed my leg for the first time. And I can't express that feeling in any words that can describe what I'm going through right now after limping for 3.5 years and pain in my leg and really having a difficult time. All of a sudden it's fixed. All of a sudden, just like that, I'm walking on it perfect, like a miracle, like a deliberate miracle. Holy crap. And I got pins and needles all over me going, holy shit, man. I just fixed my leg right in front of them and a confirmation all the way around, right? And I'm freaking out, man. I'm walking on a cloud. I'm like, wow, you wouldn't believe that in a million years. That you got up and walked out yourself, and now this is the confirmation you did do it yourself. So I was paralysed, my neck down, and I did get up and walk out myself, and this becomes a solid confirmation. I can do it myself. Wow. And when that happened, everything they told me started to sink in. My God, is this all true? This must be true. Look what just happened here. And I mean, I'm going by my own feelings, not anybody else's. I don't care what anyone says. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling my leg perfect. And I walk back. We drive an hour back to the detention centre. And these 2 officers, they knew me for the last 12 months in the detention centre. They knew I was limping non-stop. And they were mind blown because they knew. They seen it. They witnessed me limping for the last 15 months. So they were blown away and talking about what they heard from the biggest think tank and the top holders. They were like gobsmacked. I come back to the detention centre, right, that afternoon, right, and I'm in another world, man. I'm telling you, I'm in a completely different world. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how to how to let it sink in, but I'm feeling it so powerful. I've never felt nothing like it in my life. And my leg is perfect, man. I'm walking around feeling like a dream, right? And I've been longing so long to have that leg fixed, and having it fixed like this, wow, no more pain, no more limping. What a magic moment. The next day, I wake up feeling unbelievable. Like I've never felt before in my life. I felt so incredibly unbelievable. It was a beautiful day. Fantastic day. The greatest day of my life. And I'm telling you, it wasn't a normal day at all. I don't know what was going on, but I'll do my best to explain it. I'm feeling unbelievable the next morning, right? I had a great sleep. I was feeling fantastic. Never felt so fantastic in my life. I felt high as a kite, like a natural high, like, wow, what a feeling, man. And I'm sitting down making a cup of coffee. Detention are like dongas. If you look up Yonga Hill detention on Google, you'll see the kind of dongas we live in the compound. 4 rooms to a donga. Your own private room, veranda. Only the compound's locked down. We're not locked down at night time. We can go and make a coffee or toast or cereals anytime we want. I get up in the morning and make coffee, and it's a beautiful sunny day. And just wow. I'm just having a moment to myself, just a coffee by myself, nice and quiet in the morning. A lot of people are still sleeping in. And I got up about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And it's unbelievable. Fabian, a neighbour guy, was called down for sentence management, being deported to Argentina without a welfare system and no family. Lived in Australia for 43 years. Had no way of getting out of this, and he was shit scared. He only had about a 55 IQ. Very simple person, but a really good person. Really down to earth and honest, but got dragged into a lot of shit because he was easy to entice. And he done 3 lots of armed robberies, about 8 years each. And the last one, he discharged a firearm in public, but it was really in mid-air. But they were deporting him, and he had no way of getting out of this. Fabian comes running in, shit scared, terrified, needed my help, wanted to know if I could help him. You wouldn't dream about this in a million years. He's shitting himself, being deported to Argentina. And right there in that moment, an orb of light comes straight into my room. An orb of light comes straight in behind me, and I put my hand on Fabian's shoulder, and I said, "Don't worry, son, you're going home to your mum." I had no control over this at all. I didn't even know why I said that. I had no control. I don't even know why I said this. But Fabian, he goes, oh, wow, Kim, don't tell anyone. No one will believe this. And he takes off, man, happy as Larry, right? And I'm digesting this. I'm thinking, what's going on? And like, I'm feeling unbelievable, right? Like a relationship, like love pouring all over me. Like I'm just feeling unbelievable with a powerful relationship. And I can just feel a relationship. And I'm just thinking, wow, I'm lost for words, right? I'm feeling love pouring all over me. I'm feeling the most natural high I've ever felt in my life. I'm feeling off the planet like I've never felt before in my life. And nothing on earth has ever prepared me for anything like this or a feeling like this. I'm straight as a die, and I'm feeling high as a kite. Wow. And I don't know what's going on. I spoke to Fabian later, and Fabian had full-on faith, right? He said, Kim, you know, it wasn't just about the light. It's when you touched me, Kim, when you put your hand on my shoulder, I felt the love, man. I felt, boom, I just felt like I was high, and I felt pins and needles all over my body. The minute you touched me, it's like, oh, I felt pins and needles all over my body for you, Kim. And like, wow, I felt it, Kim. And I knew what you said. I just knew. it was God working through you. I just knew it was, Kim. God worked for you like this and I could feel it, Kim. I'm blown away, man. I'm thinking, wow. 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 I lie down in that moment when Fabian runs out and I'm blown away. And this orb of light comes right down next to me, right? And it turns into a portal. And boom. I'm taken right out of my bed in broad daylight, wide awake in this beautiful moment. I'm taken right out of my vessel, right, and through this portal, and then I'm in this beautiful, beautiful place. The same place they describe when people die and don't want to come back, and they get that clarification with nothing but love. I'm connected to all things in life. I'm connected to all living things, and with a powerful relationship with like a universal connection, right? Power I've never felt, high I've never felt, love I've never felt, and like I'm totally tapped in with the most powerful clarification, like X-ray vision, X-ray feelings, X-ray everything 10 times more powerful, 10 times more beautiful, 10 times more everything. And I've said this in a lot of videos. When I was there, you're in a time where time stands still and light preserves. And because you're in a time where time stands still and light preserves, okay, I'm lying there in the bed, in my vessel, in my human experience and my personality. Kim died. Kim died. I went through a transformation where Kim died. Kim never came back, but I have his memory. And my vessel is lying there, my personality. My human experience is lying there, wide awake, and I'm gone into another dimension, into the future. I'm watching the future. I'm watching how it's going to be in the future when we cross over. And how beautiful it is in a time where time stands still and light preserves for 1,000 years. Where it's going to be like this for everybody, right, that goes through this. And I know that because I see myself leading others. I see the vision that I lead others into this, many. And I know that with all the testimonies from my followers that's crossing over and following my footsteps, I know I'm leading them into this. And I see this. I see it back then. I'm told to write the book that unfolds with evidence, and this book got stopped in 2004 with 66 court orders for a reason. And God said it was meant to happen because He wants me to write it now. Because it's going to be a lot more powerful than it was in 2004. A lot more powerful. And I'll predict the future from 220 to 227 with this 7-year lay. And it'll be perfect. My prediction came through. When I crossed over, in that time where time stands still, everything was perfect. I was there for a long time, man. But I felt love, and nothing but love, man. And I know everything, man. And God put me through this for a reason. But He did something else. Fabian went home. It can be confirmed. That day I wrote 3 official letters. If I get unlawfully deported, God will send me through the toughest facial recognition in the world in a glitch, and He did, in 6 announcements, and it's fully recorded evidence. And it's also confirmed as the most powerful evidence ever recorded in modern history, right, by the biggest think tank in the world, by border security. He changed his belief system. He wrote in the documents and told me, and came in with a pastor called Sarah. That was at Brisbane Detention Centre in March 2017. You can confirm with Sarah. She had a massive divine intervention, and so did the head of border security, and they came walking in together and confirmed the most powerful confirmation on earth on that day. I was sent home to see my mum and my brother, and my mum told me about a moment in 1945 in World War II that I didn't know, a memory I had, and she had lied to me for 50 years, but I was chosen the day I was born And this became the confirmation. My brother didn't talk to me for 27 years because he died in the Kempsey bus accident, and he was sent back from heaven to earth because of me and blamed me for 27 years. And it took me 27 years to find that out at exactly the same time. It became the confirmation that I was chosen the day I was born, and that my brother was sent back from heaven to earth because of me for a reason. And I made a lot of videos about this. But this is the most powerful confirmation with the biggest border security system and security system in the world. And it's fully recorded with evidence. And God said he would provide the most powerful document on earth to prove that he does exist with evidence in the most powerful confirmation on earth. And he did, with me. I can't lie about it. It's been developed and has been created. And the reason he's done this is so that no person can throw stones at me. 5 things in biblical history lands on my date of birth with the most powerful declaration on earth. And I can't make it up. All lands on my date of birth, 27 September, which is the Holy Spirit, divine light, and scars of justice. Posthumous stays on my birthday, 1999, born in Revelation. Last human being born on earth is me, 1960. You're told about one person, and you will not know who that person is, that will teach the resurrection and protect the elect. New York climate clock 7-year countdown YouTube. Most important numbers placed in society by the same scientists. End date, 7-year countdown 2/20/2/27. Go have a look. Most important number placed in society. The end date was 2/2/27. The clock will be stayed to the 27th September. Exactly 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John. 27th September 27. In the middle of 7 you see a supernova. In the middle of 7 you see 2 moons. Last year in 2/24, supernova, Jacob Star went supernova on the 27th of September, my birthday. The same day. And then orbs of light came from heaven to earth all over this world and put the world in checkmate. There's more to this you're not being told. Orbs of light, stars within the star in the Bible, as you see in this eagle, came from heaven to earth all over the earth after supernova, Jacob Star supernova, in the middle of 7 last year. You're in a 7-year lay. The inflection point of no return is the 27th September 2/27 after the 7-year lay. 2/20/2/27. The middle of 7 you see in Daniel 9/27 the same day. September 27, Daniel 9/27, September 27, supernova, Jacob Star supernova, Daniel 9/27, the middle of 7, Jacob's trouble. The crossover, the 7-year lay, Jacob's trouble, Jacob's Star supernova. I can't make it up. It's on my date of birth. 2 powerful prophecies. And 4 days later, on the 1st of October, 2 moons. 3 powerful prophecies. The wedding and the bride. The 2 witnesses, the 2 candlesticks, the 2 olive trees, is the 2 witnesses, the mother and the father. Mary ascended body and soul with Christ. Lilu, the 5th element, is the perfect element. Mary is the element of the soulmate relationship. She's a conductor. 84, Mother Nature. The Father's the divine power to command nature. 27, Keanu Reeves, resurrection. Okay, Lilu, the 5th element, the perfect element. 84 and 27. It will start with a man woman and it'll finish with a woman. You won't know who I am, but you'll know by resurrection and all the tools and the moons and the stars and the biblical signs. And you'll know I'll come for my wedding and my bride. And you know the 2 witnesses will be mainstream all over the world. We both went through the 212 phenomenon, clinically did in 2012, and a 3.5-year transformation. We both went through that at the same time. I met Maren in Norway, and she came from heaven to earth. And I explained that in a lot of videos. Maren and myself are the 2 witnesses, the wedding and the bride. And you see us on mainstream media on the 27th of July, 2022, when they interviewed the winner of Tour de France in Denmark in Times Square. 7,000 cameras, and we put that video up many times. We come walking out of City Hall, and we didn't even know. We got set up by the system how to get our certificate for marriage. We walk out with a red envelope, the wedding and the bride. The wedding and the bride in front of the mainstream media, in front of 7,000 cameras, And you'll see that linked to this post. You have a look at the videos here that I left in my Mark on Earth and listen to all these videos and start to know who I am and why I'm here and what the meaning of life is, because I'm here to save humanity. And I just sign like this. We're the most powerful confirmation on earth and the most powerful biblical signs and the most powerful everything. And it's not my fault. It's the way God selected things. But I'm the only one of a kind. I'm the one that teaches the resurrection. I come with the wedding and the bride, and it's about the mother and the father. It's about man and woman. It's about the two pillars of salt. That's who me and Marin represents in our human experience. But we are not who you think we are. And you don't know who we are. You don't know our spirits. You don't know who we really are, nor did we. We both have amnesia, and we both wake up to discover this. Like many people need to wake up and discover about themselves, that we put through this path. But we're not going to take in that timeline on that day. Everything was perfect. I was told I was one of a kind, and I got put through this path for a reason. And it's all about what I tell you about in jail. In a time where time sits still like preserves. In a family environment where we learn to love one another and be another's bosom and flesh. Where we learn to live by the vineyard equally in prison. Where we learn to live by natural selection, life and natural order. Where we find freedom of prison after 7 years from the mental institutionalization we can put into in schooling. We're perfect from 0 to 7, and 7 years in jail, you go back into Pomona state the same as 0 to 7, and you find freedom of prison you cannot find outside. We found the cure of the human condition in prison was self-preservation movement in 2008 in my DNA. And that's why I tell you this. Prison, you learn, you got no materialistic things and no radio waves and no screens all day, and you're sitting down drinking coffee and dwelling, and you learn to love thy enemy as much as your neighbor. You learn to live equally with 3 meals a day in the same clothes, and you have nothing. You lose all your loved ones, your friends. You dwell every day of your life. You live in moral guilt and shame for 7 years. You do your head in. And then it takes 7 years of cycle of life to cross over. Then you find freedom in prison you cannot find outside from being trapped in the long dark cave in the mind that you got put into in school and engineered into with voice of mind that ultimately scientific extinction declared by Jim McGivers and the top scholars Noel Will. So they found the cure you mean to in prison from people doing 7 years or more in jail. Because they went back to their natural environment and found freedom in prison they cannot find inside from being trapped inside the mind with voice of mind that ultimately scientific extinction. And I went through this very powerful on mental health research and DNA studies on ground levels right for 10 years and sat with people suffering and doing their head in and learned to love thy enemy as much as my neighbor by learning who they really were and how they really dwell and how they really feel moral guilt and shame, how they create a character to protect the damage they've gone through, you know, and do evil things themselves and regret it so much when they lose all their family members and friends and everything they got. And then they only got you in there to talk to. And that's why it becomes like father and son and a family environment, a brotherhood. And you live by the wine, you're equally down there. You go back into Pomona state, you go back to natural selection after 7 years, and you find freedom in prison you cannot find outside. When I got out of jail in 2010, I was scared because people weren't the same anymore, and they're all trapped inside their mind the same way I used to be before I came to jail. And God said, do you remember when you came out of jail, Kim, in 2010? Do you remember how you felt? You were shit scared. The atmosphere was collapsed everywhere, and it wasn't the same, and people's auras were not the same. And all they did was debate, divide, and judgmental and competitive behavior. Judging one another and self-centered ego is the only thing you saw when you got out of jail, and everyone was polarized in the screens 8 hours a day. So artificial, Kim. Kim, you know they're in post-human stage since 1960, and not one of them has their genetic memory like you do, Kim. Not one person has their natural process with the natural selection or in their natural order and can't use their natural selection and their natural genetic motor skills. But you can, Kim, and you were lied to your whole life, but you're the one of a kind, and I had to put you through this, Kim. I had to put you through this, and I'm sorry, but you might remember when you're 5 years old. You might remember when you died at 2 years old, Kim. You saw your mum in World War II, 15 years before he was born, but you saw other things too, Kim, and now you know they're real. But remember, Kim, you didn't want to come back. Do you remember when you died at 2 years old? In that time where time stood still? You didn't want to come back because you knew the future came. But then you forgot with amnesia. Now you remember again. Now you know. You know, it shows you from the day you're born, Kim. And I created the most powerful confirmation through biblical history that lands on your date of birth. The most powerful signs on earth. Most powerful documents to back it up. But Kim, what's it about? It's about love. Unconditional love that people don't have. They don't have a care factor. They've lost all their family values. All their family lives and friends. They can't keep families together anymore. They lost all their codependent power. They gave it up, Kim. They gave consent. They all gave consent to artificial intelligence, every instrumentation and being an actor, Kim. Being a self-centered creature. And now they all have amnesia, trapped in a reincarnation trap. And Kim, that's why I developed that evidence with Yan in the Kempsey bus accident, where everybody was sent back. In one of the most powerful miracles on earth, Kim. On the front page of the paper. All these miracles were created with you, Kim, for a reason. So people cannot throw stones at you, but they will, Kim. They will all hate your guts with jealous, spiteful behavior and throw stones at you, Kim. But you know who you are, Kim? You're my son. You're the son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham, because you're the only one that can resurrect someone else. You're the only one that brought someone back to life from death with the most powerful confirmation and most powerful miracle ever created on earth in the biggest study ever done. You are the one and only, Kim. And it's all about love, Kim, and it's all about the relationship. It's all about crossing back into the primal state, right, in the image I created them in. And those that go back in their innocence with real love and real compassion, to live by the vineyard weekly, to love one another and be in those burdens of flesh. Very simple rules that God gives us. It's not religious, political cults and New Age. Very simple rules. Real love, and to go in a new dimension where we have nothing but love, where we're 10 times more fruitful, 10 times more fruit and 10 times more nutritious value, because everything's collapsing in this world, in the mentality people live in. That's the placebo effect they live in. Their own placebo effect, anti-clockwise. Love, guys. That day, I had more love than I ever felt in my life, and more high and more powerful confirmation than anything in the world. And I never read the Bible in church, but I can tell you now, blessed with the most powerful miracles ever created on earth. You know what that feels like? Man, I'm telling you, the Father loves each and every one of you as if you are the only one. And if you want some of this, then do something about it, because it's available to you right now. Right now. But if you don't cross over and create the relationship that I have, then remember, 27 September is the deadline, the point of no return, the inflection point. Don't fail, guys. I'm trying to save every one of your souls out there.